Setting the stage, Europe on the brink. Napoleon Bonaparte, a name that echoed across Europe, whispered in fear, shouted in defiance. For 2 decades, his star had blazed bright, scorching the old order with its revolutionary fire. From the sun-drenched streets of Toulon to the snow-covered fields of Russia, he'd led his armies to victory after victory, redrafting the map of Europe in the process. But by 1815, the emperor's luck seemed to be running out. Exiled to the island of Elba after a disastrous Russian campaign and a humiliating defeat at Leipzig, Napoleon was down but not out. Like a caged lion sensing weakness in its captors, he watched and waited for his moment to strike. Across the English Channel, his enemies, a coalition of European powers, breathed a sigh of relief. Napoleon was caged, his ambitions checked, or so they thought. On March 1st, 1815, Napoleon landed on the shores of France with 1,000 loyal followers. His return ignited a firestorm of enthusiasm. Soldiers sent to arrest him flocked to his banner instead, their cries of "Vive l'Empereur" echoing across the land. Within weeks, Napoleon was back in Paris, his throne restored, his armies mobilizing. Europe once again trembled at his feet. The Congress of Vienna, a grand assembly of European powers struggling to redraw the continent after years of Napoleonic upheaval, was thrown into disarray, their fragile peace shattered. The Allies declared Napoleon an outlaw and prepared for war. The 100 Days, as this brief but momentous period in history would come to be known, had begun.
Facing Napoleon across the battlefield was an alliance forged in necessity and bound by a common enemy. Leading the British forces was Arthur Wellesley, the Duke of Wellington, a shrewd and calculating general hardened by years of campaigning against Napoleon's marshals in the Iberian Peninsula. Known for his unflappable demeanor and his meticulous attention to detail, Wellington was a master of defensive warfare, his army a well-oiled machine of disciplined professionals. Allied with Wellington was the Prussian army under the command of Gebhard Leberecht von Blücher, a grizzled veteran known for his tenacity and his unwavering determination to crush Napoleon once and for all. Blücher, Marshal Forward as he was affectionately known, was a master of mobile warfare, his troops renowned for their speed and ferocity in attack.
Together, Wellington and Blücher represented a formidable challenge to Napoleon's ambitions, their combined forces outnumbering the French army that now marched towards them. On the French side, Napoleon remained the undisputed master, his military genius still sharp, despite the setbacks of recent years. He was a charismatic leader, inspiring fierce loyalty in his men, his presence on the battlefield worth several divisions in itself. He was a master strategist and tactician, able to size up a battlefield and exploit its weaknesses with lightning speed. But even Napoleon's genius would be tested as never before in the coming confrontation. The stage was set for a clash of titans, a battle that would decide the fate of Europe. Napoleon, desperate to regain his lost glory, gambled everything on a decisive victory against the Allied armies massing in Belgium. Wellington, cool and collected, prepared to receive the Emperor's onslaught, his confidence bolstered by the promise of Prussian support. And Blücher, the old warhorse, eager to avenge past defeats, marched his troops with all haste towards the sound of the guns. The small Belgian village of Waterloo, an otherwise unremarkable spot on the map, would become the unlikely arena for this epic confrontation. Situated south of Brussels, Waterloo's rolling farmland and scattered woods would witness the fury of over 200,000 men locked in mortal combat, their destinies intertwined with the fate of nations. It was a battle that would seal the fate of emperors and generals, reshape the political landscape of Europe, and echo through history for centuries to come.
Napoleon's plan was audacious, as always. He aimed to strike quickly and decisively before the Allied armies could unite their forces. His goal was to defeat Wellington and Blücher separately, thus shattering the Allied coalition and securing his grip on power. It was a high-stakes gamble, but if successful, it would cement his legacy as the greatest military commander of all time. The French army, though smaller than the combined Allied forces, was still a formidable force, composed of veterans of Napoleon's earlier campaigns. These were men who had marched from the pyramids of Egypt to the gates of Moscow, hardened by years of warfare and fiercely loyal to their emperor. They were confident, eager to prove their mettle once more under the banner of their beloved emperor. Napoleon's strategy hinged on a swift advance into Belgium, catching the Allied armies off guard and forcing them into battle on his terms. He would use his superior cavalry to outmaneuver the enemy, while his artillery, the best in Europe, would rain down fire and fury upon the enemy lines. It was a plan worthy of his reputation, a testament to his military genius.
Section 5. The Iron Duke holds firm, Wellington's day of glory. Wellington, aware of Napoleon's movements, had chosen his battlefield carefully. He positioned his army along a ridge running east to west, his center anchored on a farmstead named La Haye-Sainte, his right flank protected by the walled chateau of Hougoumont. It was a strong defensive position, allowing Wellington to maximize his firepower while minimizing his casualties. The battle began in earnest on the afternoon of June 18, 1815, with a French artillery bombardment that shook the very ground beneath the feet of Wellington's men. Wave after wave of French infantry surged forward, their bayonets glinting in the afternoon sun, only to be met by the disciplined volleys of the British infantry and the withering fire of their cannons. Wellington, a picture of calm amidst the storm of battle, rode among his men, his presence a source of inspiration and reassurance. "Hard pounding this gentleman," he famously remarked to his officers as the French cannons roared, "Let's see who will pound longest." His words captured the spirit of the British defense, a stubborn refusal to yield, a determination to hold on no matter the cost.
Section 6. The Prussians arrive, turning the tide of battle. As the day wore on, the tide of battle seemed to be turning in Napoleon's favor. The French had captured La Haye-Sainte and were pressing their attacks on the Allied center with renewed vigor. Wellington's men, exhausted and depleted, clung to their positions with grim determination. The outcome hung in the balance, victory within Napoleon's grasp. But Napoleon had not accounted for one crucial factor, the arrival of the Prussians. Blücher, true to his word, had marched through the night, his troops spurred on by the sound of distant cannon fire. As the afternoon wore on, Prussian troops began to appear on the French right flank, their presence a welcome sight to the beleaguered British. The arrival of the Prussians was a turning point in the battle. Napoleon, forced to divert troops to meet this new threat, saw his hopes of a decisive victory slip away. The initiative now passed to the Allies, their combined forces slowly but surely pushing back the French.
Section 7. The Emperor's last gamble. The Imperial Guard makes its stand. With the tide of battle turning against him, Napoleon played his last card. He unleashed his Imperial Guard, his most elite troops, veterans of countless campaigns, the scourge of Europe. Their advance, a terrifying spectacle of disciplined fury, was intended to break the Allied center and snatch victory from the jaws of defeat.
La Garde recule! The Guard is retreating! The cry went up among the French ranks, spreading panic like wildfire. The sight of the Imperial Guard falling back, unthinkable, shattered the morale of the French army. What had been a fighting retreat dissolved into a rout, as soldiers, seized by fear and exhaustion, abandoned their positions and fled the field.
Section 8, Echoes of Waterloo, a legacy forged in blood and fire. The Battle of Waterloo was more than just a military engagement. It was a watershed moment in European history. Napoleon's defeat marked the end of an era, the final curtain call for a man who had dominated the continent for 2 decades. Exiled once more, this time to the remote island of St. Helena in the South Atlantic, Napoleon would never again threaten the peace of Europe. The Congress of Vienna, reconvened after the turmoil of the 100 Days, sought to restore order and stability to a continent ravaged by war. The balance of power shifted, with Britain emerging as the preeminent power in Europe. The old order, though shaken, had survived Napoleon's revolutionary challenge. Waterloo left an indelible mark on the European psyche. It became a symbol of British military might, a testament to the courage and determination of the men who fought there. It also served as a cautionary tale, a reminder of the perils of unchecked ambition and the devastating costs of war. The echoes of Waterloo resonate even today, a reminder of the enduring power of the human spirit, the fragility of peace, and the enduring legacy of one of the most pivotal battles in history.